everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Top 10 Trends in Cybersecurity 2020, More Ransomware, Evolving Strategies, and New Tools, presented by Aite Group Senior Analysts Joe Krull and Steve Hunt. I'm Lori Spenley, and I'll be one of your Aite Group hosts for today's webinar. It's now my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. Our main speaker and host, Joe Krull, is a Senior Analyst at Aite Group, specializing in cybersecurity, privacy, and IT risk. He splits his time between San Antonio, Texas and Tel Aviv, Israel, and he brings more than 40 years of security and privacy experience to Aite Group. Mr. Krull is a frequent speaker at international cyber and privacy events, and he has been a regular contributor to cyber and audit professional organizations in both the US and Europe. Mr. Krull has worked in 115 countries and has provided cyber and privacy consulting advice to large enterprises on 4 continents. Joining Joe this morning for some additional insights today is our newest cybersecurity team member, Steve Hunt, who recently joined Aite Group as a senior analyst. Mr. Hunt is a speaker, advisor, and most of all a teacher, and has been a strategic advisor to worldwide leaders of business and government. He has assisted more than 400 global organizations to optimize success in IT, security, and leadership, and his primary goals are to help identify major opportunities that can either dramatically reduce costs or generate new income streams in the shortest possible time. So please welcome both of our speakers today, and without further ado, I'll turn the mic over now to Joe. Thank you again for joining us, and enjoy today's webinar.
Thank you very much, Lori. And let me just mirror what you said. I'm really pleased that Steve Hunt has recently joined Aite Group. He's got a wealth of industry knowledge. I'm really sure that we're going to see some impactful research and reporting from Steve in the coming months. So I have to say, as we get started, we had a lot of difficulty to define just top 10 trends this year. As we know, 2020 is going to have so many fundamental shifts in cybersecurity. But we did manage to nail it down, and these are the trends that we're going to talk about today. The 10 that we selected them on the criteria that we believe they will significantly influence the strategies and purchasing decisions of enterprises, organizations, and their chief information security officers. So before we get into the trends, I want to thank my colleagues at Aite Group for their assistance pulling together the trends, helping with the research and planning today's webinar. So although we were challenged to pick just 10 trends for 2020, we had very little difficulty defining our #1 trend, and it's ransomware. The threat of ransomware is growing exponentially, and it's gone from being a nuisance back in 2017 to a full-blown threat to organizations today. Ransomware is already impacting things like cyber insurance, disaster recovery, threat detection, incident response, and third-party risk. So ransomware has primarily affected organizations with weak cyber defenses, but we expect ransomware attacks to move up the stack to larger companies. We've seen